I've been building businesses for so long that it's really hard to think about where you should start. There are people who will tell you that the idea is everything. There are people who will tell you that the business model matters the most, that your first hire is really important. There are people who will tell you anything just to get you started. But recently, I've come to believe that your business actually starts way before you start your business. And the closest analogy that I have is athletes don't wake up one day and decide that they are just good at something. They spend years practicing. They spend many years getting their minds right, getting their bodies right, getting their diets right, getting their sleep right. They spend so much time living and breathing the experience of doing the thing that they do. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become an F1 racing driver. It takes you years and years of hard work. But for whatever reason, the prevailing understanding of business is just start, just do it, just get in the game. And I'm all for that. I think that if you are being held back only because you are fearful of starting, then absolutely just shut up and get started. But I think that there are things that precipitate that fear of starting. I think that there are things that we have going on in the background that understand that we're not ready to get a business going. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about the 5 things that I think you need to do before you start a business to give yourself the best chance to build a sustainable business. Let's go. So if you've been paying attention to basically anything I've ever put out anywhere ever, you will understand very clearly what's coming in this video. The 5 things that I think you need to get straight, get right, get sorted, so that you can give yourself the best chance to start the business of your dreams, they are as follows. First off, sleep. Second, exercise. Third, your mental health. Fourth, your diet. And fifth is the relationships in your life. Now, I think that mental health comes in and out of all of these things, but it's worth having one on its own as a separate thing because it's a big one. So let's get into each individual thing and why they matter and why the prevailing knowledge on them in startup business land is complete and utter bullshit. So the first is sleep. Sleep matters a whole lot, and we all know this to be true, but for whatever strange reason, we just flat out ignore it. Like, we don't think it's a thing. We think that we can sleep 2-3 hours a night for a long time and there'll be no ramifications. That's just not true. You have sleep debts. Your body doesn't function efficiently. Your brain doesn't function efficiently. Sleep is when you recover. Those things matter. And if you are watching this and you think to yourself immediately, I'm different, I only need 3 hours, or I only need 2 hours. Sure, maybe you are, but you're in the top 1 percentile of people who are like this. Sleep is not something to be ignored. And we treat it as if it is. We treat it as if it's something we can catch up later, but we can't. And the truth is, the more well-rested you are, the better you are at the things you do. The more creative you are, the more pleasant you are, the more well-adjusted you are. Being sleep deprived is said that way for a reason. You are deprived of sleep. You aren't thriving because you aren't getting sleep. Don't be dumb about that. Just factor in sleep to your day. Make it part of your routine. Make it part of the way you build a business. Once you've got your sleep habits right, the chances are you're going to get everything else right too. So then let's dive into the next thing. Exercise. This is a difficult one for people. I'm not saying that you should be absolutely the fittest person in the world. I do not give in to the norms of what fit and healthy is and should be. I just want you to not die because you're unfit. The physically fitter you are, the more you can withstand, the more pain you can withstand, the more anguish you can withstand, the more startup business struggles you can withstand. So I recommend you do a little bit every day until you can do a lot every day. Over the last 3 weeks, I have let my exercising go. I've not gotten out into the world, into nature, gone on hikes, and it started to eat at me until somebody said to me, oh man, it's a trigger for my depression when I don't exercise and get out into the world. And I was like, oh, that's what's happening to me. And so I went for an hour and a half hike up Newlands with my dog. And in the forest, getting exercise makes a difference. So I am back to at least minimum 10 minutes of high intensity cardio exercise and some push-ups every single day. That's all. It's all I'm asking you for. 10 minutes in your day. 10 minutes to release the endorphins and get the blood flowing and to progressively make yourself fitter. I can't understand how anybody can't fit in 10 minutes into their day to walk outside and get some exercise, to do some jumping jacks, to do some push-ups, to do something. Next up is your mental health. Now, yes, sleep is tied to mental health, as is your physical fitness, as is your diet and your relationships. So it's kind of an overarching one. But mental health has recently become a thing, and it's a thing for a reason. I do not know if you can build something long-term and successful and sustainable if your mental health isn't something you work on proactively. Now, I'm not saying you should be mentally healthy and not depressed all the time. That is not real. I am saying that you need to have a routine that protects your mental health. Whether that is your meditation, whether it is alone time, whether it is allocated reading time, your sleep, your exercise, your diet, all the things that we're going to talk about in this video. But it needs to be something you are consciously working at all the time. The better your mental states, the sharper you are at work, the sharper you are when you're building a business, the better you negotiate, the better you sell. These are just so fundamental and so obvious when you say them out loud. If you are struggling with your mental health, everything becomes more difficult. This is why mental health needs to come before you build a business, because once you're building your business, everything else is under pressure. Everything is being slammed from all directions. Mental health absolutely makes everything easier. If you think you're special and you don't need to focus on your mental health and you don't need to read about how to improve your brain and your mind and your experience of the world, you're wrong. You're not special. You're not different. We all need to focus in and double down on our mental health and our ability to be mentally healthy for longer periods of time. So if you're listening to this and you've never taken your mental health seriously, I urge you to just start being aware of what your mind is experiencing. Start being aware of your anxiety triggers. Start being aware of your stress triggers. Start being aware of the things that make you mentally healthy and fun and happy, and the things that make you mentally pained and suffer. And start to do more of the one and less of the other. It's really that simple. Then on to diet. I am by no means a dietitian. I do not eat healthy all the time. However, I eat, not reluctantly anymore, I eat a vegan diet, I would say 80% of the time. That is by choice. My partner is vegan, and over the last 10 years, it's just become part of the day. We eat unrefined foods in their natural form. We don't cook with a lot of unhealthy things like bad oils and lots of oil. So when I say diet, eat less processed food, eat less takeout, cook at home. The experience of cooking for me is such a release. It really helps me promote my day and get to the end of my day and think, man, I achieved something, and then separate my work from my play. So if you can get your diet right, the chances are you can get so much more out of your life. You'll sleep better, you'll train better, you'll think better. All of these things come off of one in each other. It's this really cool flywheel of things that you're creating prior to building a business. Those things all help you set up your life to build a better business. And then the last one is the relationships in your life. This is a big one because if at some point you need to choose between your business and your relationship, the chances are you're going to choose your relationship. So your relationships need to support the kind of life you want. So you need to make sure that the people that are engaged in your life with you, your friends, your family, your colleagues, your team, those are healthy relationships. It is orders of magnitude more difficult to build a successful business when you are suffering through your relationships, when everything is difficult at home, everything is difficult at work. Work being a solace is one thing, but you need to also have those relationships that nurture you. I am very dogmatic about relationships. I'm very specific and pedantic about them. And I know that it's easy for someone to say this, but for me, it's how I live. My relationships are additive to my life. I have none or very, very, very few subtractive, negative relationships in my life. That is calculated, that is clear, that is crisp. If you've ever met me, you understand this. If you aren't going to contribute in a positive way to my existence, then you are more than likely not going to contribute to my existence at all. And that sounds brutal, but honestly, my mental health and my own happiness is above everybody else's, because when I am happy and I'm mentally healthy, my relationships are better. My businesses are better. Everything that I do is better when I am in a position to help people be better too. So, when the relationships I'm in are good, my business is good. When the relationships I have are suffering, something else suffers too. This flywheel of pre-business or pre-game setup is so important. How do you expect to operate at a high level as a business owner or a startup founder or a side hustler if everything else in your life is shit? A business is not a safe haven from a terrible life. In the same way that a child is not a safe haven from a terrible marriage, you absolutely need to get the fundamentals right. You need to construct the kind of life that supports business and vice versa. Yes, you can do both. You can have a shitty life and a difficult relationship and bad mental health, and you can build a successful business. I absolutely agree with that. But one thing eventually will give. And we're not trying to build this flash in the pan one-hit wonder. What we're trying to do is construct a life that supports a business so that you can do this forever. That's the kind of goal that I have, is I never want to retire. I want to be mentally and physically fit enough to work forever, because I like working. I like my job. I like the things that I do. I like writing books. I like talking to you. And if I'm mentally unstable and not capable of getting my fitness and health back, then how can I do the things that I love? So it's a really simple equation for me. Do the basics right, and the rest will follow. That's it for me. As always, it's up to you to do the work, and I can't wait to see what you put in the world. There is a workbook linked below in the description of this video that will help you overcome the 5 things that I believe are holding you back from starting your business. So check that out. Sign up, register, download the workbook, and get started. My new online Side Hustle Academy cohort starts in August. This workbook is the preemptive work towards that cohort. So if you have a side hustle, a business idea, or a startup in you, and you need someone to kick you in the ass and get you started, download that workbook and join me for the next online Side Hustle Academy cohort starting in August. For now, like and subscribe to this video and this channel, and share it with someone who needs to get their shit together so that they can build the kind of business that they've been dreaming about.